Smash has been a game where there's been good characters and bad characters. I've talked a lot about characters who have been flawed throughout the series. Now we're talking about the exact opposite. This has been one of the most highly requested topics for the channel. Which characters have been the most consistently great Smash characters? The further we get into this video, the higher the percentage of consistency will be, and we'll discuss what it takes to make a good character competitively. We're not looking at characters who have been good for one game and then burn out the next. The characters that have stuck around consistently. The further I go in this video, the better these characters are going to be. There's no strict order until maybe we get to the top 3 to 4 characters, so stay tuned. The last one is going to be the best character on this list, and I'm sure some of you might actually guess this character. Honorable mentions. While Peach in a majority of her iterations has actually changed drastically, from being a very tanky high tier character to being a solid mid tier for 2 games in a row, until becoming almost completely different style of character in Smash Ultimate, leaning more into a fast-paced playstyle and abandoning a lot of her tanky attributes that she was known for in the past, but this time actually becoming an S-tier character, which is pretty crazy. ZSS, who has also been a very solid character for 2 Smash games in a row, before she would be nerfed to the A+ tier in Smash Ultimate. Ironically, even ZSS would change a lot even in Brawl, where she could actually throw items whenever a match started, which was pretty crazy and also definitely not a pleasant sight, I'll say. She ended up becoming more aggressive and streamlined in games like Smash 4 and would lean into more ladder combos in these games. If anything, Smash Ultimate kept her mostly the same while toning down her punish game and lessening her hit stun on her attacks. As far as consistency goes, she's definitely in the conversation. She's been a top tier for a couple games in a row and has been a high tier as well. Cloud is a character that has not been in Smash as long as some of the other characters on this list. However, he's a perfect example of what it takes to be a solid character in the meta. First off, all the man has is a sword, projectile, and high amounts of speed, which already on paper is a fast track to being a good character, no duh, right? Honest content. I know. What makes Cloud more consistent than a character like Link or Hero, he's not a jack of all trades where they could possibly be a master of none. Smash 4 Cloud is the best version of the character because he was overcooked. His ability to combo into up air in itself and kill with it was easily one of the most annoying things to deal with in Smash 4's meta, you know, outside of many other things. Even I personally played with Cloud and I just dabbled with the character and I immediately saw what was so good about him, as a lot of people could just pick him up because he was really easy to play. And of course there's mechanics like the limit mechanic, where if you gain a full meter, you get powered up versions of his special moves. My god, was he good when he first came out. In fact, his ability to camp with his highly ranged aerials made using 2 Clouds on the same team in doubles, yes, double Cloud, was banned. The only character to be banned in this style of game mode is kind of funny, as Cloud would be slightly nerfed and toned down in Smash Ultimate, double down slightly more into his flaws like his recovery, for example, and make it worse, which is actually one of the major flaws of his character. But even his recovery can be mitigated by a fully charged limit. The reason why Cloud is so good is he has almost everything a character needs to be good. Disjointed hitboxes, check. Projectile, it might not be the best, but check. Combo game, punish game, yes, check, check. And on top of all that, he's fast too. While Snake has been in 2 games, both iterations of the character have been really solid. Obviously, the Brawl version is the clear winner for being a heavyweight weapons expert style character, so that means Snake has plenty of tools, like his grenades, which can be picked up and used like a normal item. He has a mine that he can place on the opponents, and the explosion can even aid his recovery and combo confirm opponents. It's really annoying. Not only is Snake really heavy, it also means he can live for a very long time. He has large amounts of recovery options, and it's going to help him when he wants to get back on stage. And not only that, Snake has insane amounts of KO potential because he has really cheesy moves like his forward smash, and yes, we all have seen this godforsaken move. One of the most jank up tilts in the whole series. Congrats, Snake. Brawl Snake would be ranked at 6th place in the A tier, a solid threat in the meta, yes, that is a pun, and I'm proud of it. In Smash Ultimate, when Snake would return, he would actually be nerfed, losing some range on his more disjointed attacks like Surprise Surprise Up Tilt, losing his landmine attack that was his down smash, now having a pretty basic kick attack. His weight was also nerfed as he's now technically not a super heavyweight anymore, and he's now a standard heavyweight, meaning his survivability is lowered. He still ended up in 15th place on the tier list, so even despite the nerfs, he's quite good. So this is actually the characters that I would say are the most consistent. Diddy Kong is an example of what happens when a character has strong item mix-ups and combo game that are just through the roof. Depending on the version of Diddy Kong, they don't really need to be the strongest character in the game, but the banana as a tool just adds so much to his character as a stage control tool. It shows the true strengths of the character. Funnily enough, in Brawl, they actually thought this was balanced. Diddy Kong had access to 2 bananas at the same time, and this has not only made tripping even more common, as God, I love me some tripping, but it allowed Diddy Kong to get an easy punish off of it. His aerials were solid, he had a down air that could meteor smash, he had powerful throw conversions that could kill and combo, his side special goes through shields, monkey flip is just so good, and he was a top 4 character in Brawl. Diddy Kong's strengths would change a lot in Smash 4, where Diddy Kong would even become stronger having a nerfed banana, yes, now only having 1 instead of 2, while in turn giving Diddy Kong the hoo-ha, which was the up throw, up air, or down throw, up air, which was an extremely strong confirm for the character. Diddy Kong would receive nerfs, but even those things wouldn't stop the character from being this good, ending up as the best character in Smash 4 if the DLC weren't in the game, ending up at 3rd place. In Smash Ultimate, Diddy would actually be an S tier character again, being at 12th place, having a much weaker moveset, losing his up throw up air confirm. He actually is an incredible character in Smash. The only reason Diddy Kong isn't higher on this list is he's only in 3 Smash games. If Diddy Kong was in more and he maintained the success, he would obviously probably be the best in all of Smash, to be honest. He's definitely in the conversation of best character, but I personally value characters that have been in more games and have maintained their solid niche. And Marth, surprise, surprise, is on this list. The character is an easy example of how important range can be. Whether you're looking at his melee grab that, yes, is more disjointed than a dinosaur's tongue, or even the fact his giant sword chump checks so many characters. Those are only 2 positives right there, but why is this character so good? Well, it keeps going. Marth has an incredible dash dance, wave dash, in combination to being able to chain grab characters like the Spaceys. It really shows how insanely good he can be. He moves gracefully on stage while also having tools that are insanely rewarding. Like, for example, his tipper hitboxes on his sword. He's just so good at beating a lot of characters that just have terrible range. In Brawl, he would have even higher heights in the game, being a top level character, and he really wasn't nerfed at all when it came to moving to Melee to Brawl. He was still a very solid character, being able to do mostly a lot of the same stuff. In future Smash games, his range would be nerfed, but even those things couldn't stop him. He still held his niche in games like Brawl, where he was arguably still able to maintain his presence in the meta, being a top level character in both games, being 2nd in Melee and 5th in Brawl. And in Brawl, he was doing a lot of the same stuff. Although, yes, he doesn't have wave dashing and dash dancing, he still had an incredible down air that he could dunk characters off stage, or he could bully other characters that, you know, were low tiers, just like Melee, hey. Ironically, some of you might not remember this, Marth was actually perceived as a low tier character for a while in Smash 4. Initially received as a major step back from previous versions, until balance patches came around and gave Marth much less end lag on his moves, and he started to rise tremendously in the meta, giving him more throw follow-ups and KO power, arguably becoming one of the most buffed Smash 4 characters with Mewtwo, bringing Marth all the way to 11th place, which is very solid. Marth's lowest placement will be Smash Ultimate, still being a solid character, but now being outclassed by his Echo Fighter counterpart Lucina, and even characters like Roy. Lucina especially is seen as the quote-unquote better Marth, as there's a lot more competitive players playing Lucina, as Lucina doesn't need to rely on tipper follow-ups, as her sword is more balanced hitbox-wise. Marth in Smash Ultimate received a lot of nerfs to his tipper size and the removal of things like perfect pivoting. These things hit Marth really hard, as now he's ranked at 54th place in Smash Ultimate. However, the literal clone version of himself is a top level character, so there is a little bit of a loophole here. It does show you how strong Marth's DNA truly is, as characters even inspired by him are top level characters like Roy, who is a more rushdown version of Marth. And it does kind of suck because people speculated he was going to be a top level character again, and no doubt he is solid, yes, just not as high as he previously was in the past. Marth's DNA is still technically a top tier character, although it's just other characters that are moving forward with this sort of design. Play Lucina, I guess, or whatever you feel like doing. I'm sure this character is no surprise to you guys. Easily one of the most consistent characters in the whole series. Even the worst versions of this character aren't that bad. The interesting thing about Fox is his moveset is technically very different in style. In some games, Fox is very aggressive, and in other games he relies on different tools. In 64, Fox feels like a preview of what the character was going to be in Melee. Interestingly, the 64 version has tools like Fair, which were strong edgeguarding tools, and I love this move. I just wanted to bring it up. It actually has nothing to do with what I was going to talk about, but I miss this forward air actually a lot. Sakurai, please give this to a Spacey. He's known for his combo conversions to his tilt aerial follow-ups. Even in this game, when it comes to his need to edgeguard, he has moves like his shine or his aerials that do the job for him. He's pretty much everything that you need in a character to be good, and he has the framework of a top-level character. Now, when it came to Melee, Fox would be buffed further, becoming one of the most technical characters. He has one of the best moves in the game, being a frame 1 attack that is pretty much his identity in this game. As plenty of Melee Fox memes, you know, bring up this move. This version of Fox is simply doubling down on the positives of 64 Fox and going even further. He has a new up throw that was added to Melee, allowing him to have a strong combo confirm, being up throw into up air. His projectile is one of the best projectiles in the game, hands down, and you can shoot double lasers to rack up damage easily. And when it's time to clean up the stock, he has plenty of KO tools like his up smash, which is one of the best up smashes in the game. He's just good at everything, and I'm sure most of you already know this. He's the icon of Melee. Fox would be nerfed in Brawl, losing pretty much all of his Melee tech, dropping all the way down to being a mid-tier at 15th place, which is still not bad considering some Melee top tiers would be low tiers. Jigglypuff. Brawl Fox would be the beginning of a newer style to the character where he's less reliant on shine follow-ups and leaning more into comboing with his aerials. Even moves that were lesser used ended up being more used in the future, like forward air for example. Still remaining as a fast rushdown character in games like Smash 4, he would be ranked at 7th in Smash 4 and then even higher in Smash Ultimate at 5th. Still being a strong character with plenty of utility, but just being defined less on what the earlier versions of the character were more defined by. Trading that with a more gifted recovery, which is probably one of Fox's biggest flaws, being toned down. And Ultimate Fox especially is more well-rounded compared to a lot of his moves that were bad in Melee are less bad in Ultimate, but some of his moves that were really strong in Melee are less good in Ultimate. But he's still very solid in this game. The most consistent character in Smash is right here. Pikachu is one of the best characters in the whole series. Pikachu's peak is being #1 in Smash 64, having an insane amount of KO power, a Smash 4 level of recovery. If you get that reference, you get it. Give yourself a pat on the back. Because Pikachu is so good at edgeguarding, Pikachu can basically destroy any character trying to get back on stage, and was just really good at just being good at everything. Because Pikachu has incredible stats in pretty much everything across the board in this game. There's very little flaws to his character, having a projectile, KO power, and recovery that most characters would love to have. See a little bit of a trend here, I'm sure. Pikachu was nerfed into becoming a mid-tier character, and Fox would definitely outclass the character in Melee, as Fox had the more consistent KO conversions. Even in the lowest performing version of the character was still a solid high tier. Sure, the character had some hard matchups, and winning a major in Melee is definitely not an easy thing for Pikachu whatsoever, but the fact that the character's lowest placement is a high tier character, just shows how consistent Pikachu is. While other characters in Melee would be nerfed significantly, Pikachu was actually not one of them this time. In fact, Pikachu in Brawl is actually slightly better than the Melee version, having increased range, quick attack canceling, which is an incredible tool for Brawl Pikachu. Also, the character got a down throw chain grab, which was stupid easy to do. Even someone like Honest Constant could do it. Like seriously, what is this chain grab? Come on. Pikachu ended up being ranked at 8th on Brawl's tier list, being a solid version of the character. Pikachu's streak would continue to Smash 4, where they arguably kept the character the same in a lot of areas. More combo options out of Throw, where you could even kill with a heavily buffed version of Thunder, which is crazy, honestly. Pikachu's aerial to grab punishes were buffed heavily in Smash 4's engine, but even in Smash 4's bigger roster, Pikachu again still held it together in the B tier. The character's viability would ease off the gas in later years, specifically in the DLC period of Smash 4. If anything, Smash 4 Pikachu walked, so Smash Ultimate Pikachu could run. When the game first came out, people were looking at the amount of buffs that Pikachu got compared to the Smash 4 version. An already good character was made even better, which rarely happens. Pikachu's moveset got major and lag decreases and got brand new moves like this new gnar. In the past, this gnar was an edge guarding tool. Now it's become a very strong combo tool, especially out of Pikachu's heavily buffed throws, tilts, and aerials. Back air are incredibly quick in this game, and they can auto-cancel very early. Smash attack range got buffed, his KO power was increased across the board. Pikachu is a S tier character in this game, it's no surprise. And this is the second best version of the character. The second best version of the character is just an S tier. Shows you how consistent Pikachu is in Smash. It's clear they gave buffs to Pikachu when he needed them, and when Pikachu was lackluster in certain areas, the future games gave him the buffs that he needed and fixed him. They could have gutted the character for being prominent in some games, and don't get me wrong, they kind of did in Melee, but the character would come back in future games and was still an incredible threat, even Smash Ultimate. And look, how are you're good in this roster? Like what? The fact that you can be so good with a character roster this big just goes to show how strong Pikachu's archetype is and just what they've done with the character. If you want us to know what it takes to be a good character in Smash, Pikachu is definitely the premier example. Thank you guys for watching the video. There is a Patreon down below if you guys want to watch new videos early. Thank you, I appreciate it. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Peace.